Hey everyone, this video is about how to get the most out of your Hawaii vacation. Super exciting. You want to go to Hawaii. The way that I recommend visiting Hawaii and getting the most out of your trip is by cruising. There's one cruise line that I know of that goes around the islands like this, and that is Norwegian Cruise Line. So I did a trip there with my wife. We did the cruise and we got to visit 4 islands, 5 ports total, and it was incredible. I feel like we got to see much of Hawaii and we could really tailor it to what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go. Great trip for us. It's a week-long cruise. I recommend going 1 to 2 days early before your cruise leaves and doing the island of Oahu and Honolulu. Because that's where the cruise leaves from and returns to. So whatever you want to visit there, you should do, well, you'll have to do either before or after the cruise. There are excursions that the cruise offers after the cruise, so keep that in mind. But for me, it was nice to do 1 day before Honolulu because I was pretty tired. My wife and I were pretty tired after the cruise had ended. So I'll include some links here in the description of where we bought tickets for events and things and all that. But this is the itinerary for the cruise. Started in Honolulu, visited the island of Maui, then the big island of Hawaii, then the island of Kauai, and returned to Honolulu. Again, it was 7 days. One thing that's really good to know, you can get Uber and Lyft just like you can most other places in the States. The drivers we talked to said Uber is more popular, but we used both apps just fine, and about half the time the wait for either one was less than 5 minutes, so it was very quick. The advantage of cruising versus just visiting Hawaii is that cruising, you get to see all these islands built into the cruise, and all your travel is taken care of to and from each island. And you can tailor it on the island to visit whatever you want. You can visit as much of the island as you can fit in during the time that you're there. Whereas if you were to fly out to Hawaii and then fly or ferry between islands, that's a lot of extra time and travel that is not built in and that you have to schedule and coordinate for yourself. All right, so I'm going to walk you through our trip. Like I said, we just got back from this 7-day Norwegian cruise. Started in Honolulu. We got there on a Friday afternoon and stayed in Waikiki, which is a very popular tourist resort area with several large resorts, beachfront, a little bit expensive, valet parking, that whole thing. But it's close to the ports and it's convenient, and the beach is right there, close to the airport as well. So the first evening we were there, we visited the Polynesian Cultural Center, and we spent about 3 or 4 hours there. Not a whole lot of time. We could have spent more, and we wish we would have, because there's a lot to see. Here's a map of the Polynesian Cultural Center, and you can see that there's little areas dedicated to each island or culture, and you can get a taste of those cultures and islands and what they're like and their heritage and how they celebrate and some things that are important to them, which is really cool. So you walk around this park. It's like a theme park. They have little presentations. I shouldn't say little. Some of them are quite extravagant. And you get to see all this. There's also a few shops there and other entertainment outside of this island excursion area. Some really cool things to see. And one of the crowning event for our trip to the Polynesian Cultural Center was this Ha Breath of Life show. It was incredible. It was that evening. They had fire dancers, a presentation. It was about an hour to an hour and a half long, I believe, and just really cool to see all the native dress and the whole presentation. All right. So then the next morning we visited Pearl Harbor, and that was Saturday morning. The cruise was leaving late Saturday afternoon, so you do have time to do this the morning before the cruise. And as you can see here, This you can see from the sky the USS Missouri as well as the Arizona Memorial from this view. This was when we were flying in, we got this picture. So one thing to visit is the USS Bowfin submarine. This is at Pearl Harbor. It's 15 bucks each, and it's worth it. I think if you really want to see a submarine, or you don't visit the USS Missouri. I think the Missouri's cooler and there's a lot more to see on it, whereas the Bowfin's, you know, it's a small submarine. There's another view. Here's some photos inside. So what we did, we paid for this excursion, and we got to spend some time at Pearl Harbor. We got a small tour of Honolulu, and we actually got ferried out to visit the USS Arizona and view Battleship Row, which is the site of these other battleships that went down and the Missouri. And we then got to go on this tour of the USS Missouri. So here's some photos showing what it's like there. And there's a museum or two as well on Pearl Harbor that you can look at. So I want to show you a few pictures of the ship, the cruise ship, which we got on Saturday afternoon. Here's the main lobby. There's an arcade, gelato. And our stateroom was pretty small, but actually very convenient and had plenty of storage space for our needs. All right, so the first stop is the island of Maui. And right off the ship, within walking distance, it's about a 10-minute walk, there's a beach. It's called Maui Beach. It's rocky when you get into the water a little bit. Lots of debris kind of floating around at the bottom, and rocks. I mean, you can go out 10 or 15 feet into the water and it's sandy again. It's a nice place to just go visit. It wasn't very crowded when we were there at all. So I feel like that's a great opportunity to get your first beach experience besides Waikiki, if you're staying in Waikiki on Honolulu, is Maui Beach. There's a view of the ship from the beach so you can see how close it is. All right, another thing I recommend is visiting the Maui Ocean Center if you have not been to an aquarium in a while. It wasn't an amazing aquarium. It was medium-sized. There were some cool exhibits, but nothing you wouldn't expect to see really at other aquariums, besides possibly all the reef and coral that they have collected that they have inside the aquariums, which is pretty cool. But it only took us about 45 minutes to go through the whole thing. So I think it was a little bit overpriced for that experience. And here's some of the things we saw at the Ocean Center. All right, from there, it's about a 20-minute drive to Lahaina, which is a popular destination for shopping in Hawaii. There's all these cool shops, and there's a more fancy shopping center as well. It's right near the beach. So one note here is the most popular convenience store in Hawaii is called ABC Stores. So you can go there and get bottled water, any convenience items you need. It's all over the place. All right, another 20 minutes or so is the Nakalele Blowhole, which is quite impressive. As you can see, it spouts up. And there's also some cool looking rocks here that are worth the view. I'm really glad we visited this, and it gives you a great ocean view as well. From there, you can continue on going around this part of Maui on what is, for much of the trip, a one-way road. Rather, one lane of traffic can go at a time. So you'll have to go slow and pull over for other cars, or vice versa as they come through. It's a lot of windy roads right along the ocean front. It was pretty fun, and got to see a lot of great scenery. This is probably similar to the road to Hana, which is also on Maui on the other side of the island. That is a very stressful drive. We didn't actually do that, but we had some friends who did, and it took them about, I think they said 2 hours or so, and very stressful, very tight corners, and a lot more traffic. So I recommend doing this route instead of the road to Hana, because it's more convenient, but you still get that similar experience of the oceanfront, windy roads along the coast. It's about another half-hour drive or so to the Makamakaole Trail, which follows this river, and it's about a half mile to a mile long. You have to cross the river multiple times, and there's a waterfall at the end of it, which we actually didn't make it to because we were crunched for time, but we got some pretty cool views. And this is a way to really get immersed into Hawaii, and you feel like you're in the jungle of Hawaii. So if you're up for that, this is a very short hike. It's right next to the road, and you can really get immersed in that right away. All right, next we went to the big island of Hawaii, and our first stop was Hilo. One thing you must do while you're there is visit Carlsmith Beach Park, which is only about a 10-minute drive from the port. And here it's this nice little bay, calm water, clear water, and you get to swim with some turtles if you're lucky. They're just natural turtles out there, and they just come right up around you and swim around you, and it was really fun. All right, about a mile from the port, there's a Big Island Candies factory where you can go and watch them making chocolates and cookies and all that sort of thing, and you can purchase some for yourself. They're really good. I recommend visiting this. And lastly, on Hilo, I also recommend visiting the Liliuokalani Gardens. So this is a Japanese garden that was established in about 1919. So it's 100 years old and worth the visit. It's about a mile from the ship as well. So you can walk here, you can walk to Big Island Candies as well. It's not too far if you'd like, or you can get an Uber or Lyft. There's some pretty cool architecture here. All right, the next port is Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. And this one's a little bit different. The cruise ship is actually anchored off the dock because there's a small dock here, not a big one. And these little tender boats or ferry boats go back and forth between the shore and the ship and drop you off there at the dock. And they run all day while you're there, so you can get them at whatever time is convenient for you. Right at the dock, there's a small snorkel area and beach, which is a great snorkel area to see quite a few fish, actually. We saw many different varieties of colorful fish snorkeling here in this small area, and you can rent the snorkel gear right on the beach, and it was quite fun. This side of the island, Kona, by the way, is on the leeward side of the island, so the water's a lot more clear, and it's recommended to do snorkeling on this side of the island. If you're interested, there's a cool quilt shop, a very short walk from the dock on Kona. Very colorful Hawaiian patterns are available there. It's called Quilt Passions. All right, one excursion we did through the ship was the Atlantis Submarine, and that took us down to a depth of 105 feet or so and drove us around, and we saw 2 shipwrecks. We saw quite a few colorful fish. However, at certain depths, your color perception, or rather the actual colors themselves, fade a little bit. For example, red, I believe, at about 30 feet starts to disappear because the light is not getting through as much at that depth and deeper, and that's one of the shades that doesn't make it through when there's not as much light, or with the way the light works on the water. My favorite beach of the whole trip was Kalapaki Beach in Wailewaile on Kauai, which was the last island on our cruise. This beach is sandy. It has a variety of water, meaning about half of the bay It's very calm. And the other half, it's a bit more rocky, and there's some bigger waves. So you could actually do some surfing here, paddleboarding. Those are all available for rent right at the beach. So you can really get your fill here, get some good rays, nice water. I loved this beach. If I were to visit Hawaii again, I would stay on Kauai, somewhere close to this beach. While you're visiting the beach, it is worth also visiting the Botanical Garden at the Kauai Marriott Hotel, which is 50 meters from the beach. There's a koi pond here, well, several koi ponds, which are colorful and pretty. A lot of little birds and many different beautiful flowers and greenery. It's about a 2-acre plot right there in the middle of the hotel that you can go and visit for free. It seems like most of the cruise ship went to Luau Kalamaku on the Kilohana plantation on Kauai. So very popular luau. You really get the luau experience and get to associate with and meet some new people on the cruise. During that plantation tour and visit, you can tour the plantation in this train if that's the part of the package that you sign up for or part of the excursion. And there's a lot to see, and it's very beautiful. There are a lot of chickens on Hawaii. I was actually surprised at that, but I guess it is in Moana, so I shouldn't be surprised. All right, before we went back to Honolulu, the last evening of our cruise, we toured the Na Pali coast, which was breathtaking. We got to see some beautiful mountainsides that are jagged and sharp and tall along this coast, and you just cruise along there for about a half hour and then turn around and head back to Honolulu.